Always avoid sending a rogue into a 1v1 fight with a fighter. They will lose every single time. And during the game, they will lose even the 2v1 pretty often if you have a rogue on its own. Try to have at least 2 rogues or position them far enough away from fighters and things like that so they do not get swept away. I have 9 other things you want to avoid when playing the Illuvium Arena, especially number 6 that separates out the top 1% of players. Without these tips, you might as well be playing blind, and honestly, you might even have more luck with that. Now, Illuvium tournaments have great payouts right now, but it's only going to get bigger headed into the back end of 2025. So learning the game properly is really in your financial best interest. Now, especially if you are a fan of the auto battler genre. Okay, so the next thing I've got for you is never select a weapon with limited options. Now, I expect weapons to change quite a bit as the team keeps developing these systems. But for example, I really like the Air Bulwark here. It can be a Behemoth, Colossus, or Vanguard, all really great synergies, or Frost, Dust, and Tempest. All quite good, Dust not as good, but Frost and Tempest are fantastic. Personally, I really like it when it lines up with Illuvial perfectly. For example, your Jotun is a Frost Behemoth and one of the best Illuvials in the game. So if you like playing Jotun in your games, the Tempest Lance guarantees you can synergize with him no matter what happens. The Grove Sword has that a little bit with your Rip Lance, but not so much with your Riptorus, okay? So it's a little bit tricky there, but basically it's really, really good. So the Nature Scion one can be quite good because it can be Wildfire, Toxic, and Spore, more because those 3 synergies, they're on really great Illuvials such as Adorius and Blazonite and stuff, but really they pair up with what it can be for its other synergies. For example, Invoker, Arcanite, and Phantom. All of these pair up really well with Wildfire and Spore in particular. Now, the Nature Fighter has really limited and specific options. You can go Toxic Berserker or Wildfire Templar, which is really good with 2 really specific archetypes, but it doesn't really have a whole lot other than that. Verdant really wants to be a tank, and you're not going to be able to get Verdant Behemoth off the ground. And your other synergies, such as like Toxic and maybe like Templar, really doesn't work that well because if you got your Templar set up, you don't necessarily want to have like a Caradulo or maybe even a Riptorus on the board. And so it's a little bit harder to pull that off. So you need to consider these things when you're getting your weapon. But really, I like to pick a really big Illuvial I love, and I tend to synergize around that. And that is the way I like to think about these weapon choices. So you can see here that I go with the Tempest Lance. Now, number 3 is never take a drone augment that doesn't provide immediate value to you in the game. You lose so much opportunity cost from that. We can see that we have the Scion module here, which is I think is quite good. Did I skip too far? Apologies. You can see right off the bat here, we have the Veteran's Might has come off, okay? You need to be careful of that because the Veteran's Might, sorry, I keep stuffing that up. The Veteran's Might only grants a boost to tier 4 units. Now, if this were round 15 and you were picking up your drone augment, then maybe that might be a really good choice, but you're not going to benefit from that for another 10 rounds. And so it costs too much in overall credits. For example, over those 10 rounds, you might have a lot of trouble getting a win streak because you didn't take the Scion module, you were waiting for those tier 4s. What happens then is you lose 10 gold from not winning, and then you lose maybe another 20 gold from not win streaking, and you're probably losing so much health along the way as well. The net negatives are insane, and you're going to take a huge hit to your momentum from doing that. But boosting 2 Scions, because they get a benefit from just the 2 synergy, quite a good one, mind you, helps give you an early edge, get those win streaks, and get all that extra credits that you're going to use to offset not having a boost to your tier 4 Illuvials, and really that augment's not that good anyway. So the next thing is to try and maintain a win streak. You can see here that I leveled up to 5 quite early on because I noticed my opponent is also level 5. More importantly, they have a lot of stage 1 Illuvials. Now, level 5 will generally beat level 4 in most cases. With positioning and stuff, you can mitigate it. But for the most part, it will do really well. But I know that my Illuvials are so much stronger than his, and the 3 Bulwark is such a huge power spike that leveling up to 5, I lost 1 credit from the interest, but I gained so much from keeping the win streak, especially if I try and go into a PvE round and get a bunch of free gold from that as well. So only level up if you're confident you win so that you don't waste the interest. But if you are confident you can win, it's really important to manage your levels accordingly. Not to mention, after you level up, you're going to get a better shock roll next round. So it's going to help you give you even more momentum moving forward. The other one is do not merge the yellow and the purple augment piece together. or you will get a support augment. They suck. They will set you way back in the game. Do not pick them up. Believe me, you are going to want to know that. Okay, so number 6, this is really important, is be mindful of major omegas. You can see I lined up my links perfectly next to my bulwark, which gave his scion links the ability to hit through a lot of my units really, really easily. You need to be mindful of these sorts of omegas. If I position a little bit better and really separated things out in more of a pincer maneuver, I probably would have won this round and would have given me a huge edge to come top 3 guaranteed, maybe even top 2, but it was a massive blunder to not position quite well against the 2 long-range Illuvials there. A few omegas I would be watching for are the Scion Lynx Wave early in the game, the Trash Bird Tornado, be careful of that thing, and the Goliath Ghost Beetle attack that goes to the furthest enemy as well. Make sure you are not lined up in that path for all of those omegas. I should have placed the Illuvials on the right to attack from 2 vectors, and losing the win streak cost me so much momentum and opportunity cost. Now, number 7 is try to get at least 1 composite online as soon as possible. You can see here that I can bond quite early on in the game to get Aegis. It's going to give you a really big power spike. Don't wait until past round 10 if you can. The power spike is too important, especially for maintaining those win streaks, as we established is really, really important. The other thing is don't let your units take on 2v1s in the game. Ensure you have an advantage at all times if you possibly can. So you can see my opponent here, he put his gorilla, I think that's a gorilla, right in the middle and is taking on a lot of 2v1s. My Doka and my TNT are both attacking the same unit. I've got a lot of 2v1s happening here where he's got a lot of things distracted by a bulwark. If your bulwark is taking on multiple opponents and your DPS are teaming up against opponents, it generally means you're going to win the fight. That is a really important part of the positioning in this game. Try and set up those scenarios as often as you possibly can. Your tanks can take on multiple opponents, and your DPS, if they die too early, you will lose the fight. Now the other one, this was a huge mistake I made when I bought this squiz right here. Do not have an expensive Illuvial on your bench. If you cannot use them, sell them so you keep getting the interest from future rounds. In this case, I won't show it here, but I had the squiz on my bench for at least 5 to 6 rounds, maybe more, without putting it on the field at all, okay? Consider that. I probably lost 5 or 6 gold in interest, maybe more, and since it was harder for me to get a win streak, I probably lost another 5 or 6 gold in that, so I lost maybe 10 gold in total, and that means I could have bought 2 more squizzes for the cost of having that one on my bench, not to mention it took up bench space as well, which is valuable in this game. So an absolute huge blunder. Do not do that. The opportunity cost from hoping you get something else can be really, really expensive, especially as I'm level 7. It's really hard to get the tier 5 Illuvials from that level. It's a little bit bad business sense, let's put it that way. So the last thing I want to talk about is don't let your Illuvials get trapped and do nothing during a fight. This is really important. It's really obvious, I know. So my Riptor has attacked that Tiru, but then Riptor has got stuck in the bottom left corner. Every single second it's not dealing damage is absolute wasted time where I'm just losing so much momentum in this fight. I managed to win the fight, as you can see, so I got quite lucky there, but really when that thing is trapped, you're basically playing 7 against 8, for example, and you really don't want to do that. Every single Illuvial, their abilities and so on counts. Like if they're not attacking, they're not even gaining energy. That is how much value you're losing there. You're losing omegas, damage, composite synergies like toxic effects at nearby enemies. You're losing so much there. Please like and subscribe for more Illuvium content. Tell me below what you need help with and use my referral code on the Illuvidex. I hope you learned something today and check out this video all about if Illuvium is still worth it in 2025.